Hello. Welcome to another video from 10x Investor Education. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about hot EV IPO by name Rivian. Okay. So this company I have been following almost for a decade. The CEO of the founder of the company, Mr. R.J. Scaringe, and whole his team. Okay. So if you take Elon Musk, he's a businessman. Whereas Mr. CEO of Rivian, he is a real car fanatic and he has been trying to invent his own car company for almost 2 decades. And this is what is life dream coming true. And Rivian has been very hot EV IPO. It was valued close to $80 billion. Now they are talking about $60 billion. And we have seen how Tesla, Lucid, even for matter Ford went up so much in last couple of weeks. To give you an idea, Ford went up by 130% in last 1 year and 25% in last 1 month alone. And I don't have to tell you how much Tesla went up. Today, this video is about Rivian and its IPO, its valuation. We look at the founder, how he invented the company, and how he brought the company to the level where he is. And now I will talk about how many things they are making and if it is going to be very successful. Is it going to be next Tesla or the next Lucid or something else? Okay, so that is the main concept of this video. Let's dive into the details. Okay, so the IPO is going to be as early as next week. As I said, this is one of the most anticipated EV IPO for many long time. Okay, so this IPO is not available in Robinhood or TD Trade like a lot of the IPOs that I have been covering in my channel. So based on that itself, you can tell there is a lot more demand from institutional investors. So it is not very available for applying for retail investors. Okay. So Rivian basically makes three vehicles. The one is, I will cover S1 filings later and show some cool videos and what the truck can do and the competitors, the comparison between Lightning, Ford, and then in their SUV, Model X, Model Y, and all those things. But before that, let's get into what do they make. Okay, they make three vehicles. One is primary Amazon delivery truck, which has been on a couple of locations on the roads already delivering. So as per their S1 filings, it's a contract between them and Amazon. 100,000 orders is what they got. So that is a special delivery vehicle for Amazon that they are making. Based on that, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, invested the first millions of dollars into Rivian a couple of years back. Then Ford also invested big time. So before any of these fancy specs like Canoe and all that flat chassis model, the way they are right, they have today, Rivian has to invent everything years back. Okay, so think of Tesla as before the Cybertruck as a luxury EV car manufacturer. I would put Rivian as luxury SUV and truck manufacturer. Okay, you can certainly compare between that Ford EV, Ford F-150 EV and Cybertruck, but they have a specific design, real SUV, sports SUV, adventure camping SUV and truck. Okay, so Rivian, which is, I think right now they're talking about $60 billion valuation, is super rich, similar to Ford and GM value current market cap, where they sell hundreds and thousands of vehicles every year. Rivian hasn't sold much. Okay, so as I said, Rivian is owned 20% by Amazon and 5% by Ford and a lot of other institutional investors. So if you take a look at it, there are, apart from the Amazon delivery truck, within their truck R1T, so there are couple of competitions that are coming in. One is main one, Cybertruck. Ford F-150 EV, and the GMC Hummer. GMC Hummer 100K plus vehicle, 10,000 sold out. Let's not talk about much. Ford has 150,000 pre-orders for their F-150 EV. Rivian, in their latest S1 filing, disclosed that they have close to 48,000 orders for both truck and SUV. So that's give you an idea how their business is going to be and how much they can expect grow next couple of years. So that these three vehicles will be built in Rivian's plant, which is in Norman, Illinois right now. The company also in talks with another $5 billion investment for a second factory in Fort Worth, Texas, and Bloomberg reported in August, okay, a few months back. And also they are thinking of putting up a plant in Europe that actually can build again Amjan vans, okay. So that is the goal for the next couple of years. So let's compare what is the main difference between Rivian SUV and other existing SUV. So in SUV market, I would say Model X is the closest competitor with 100 plus thousand, whereas Rivian SUV is close to 67,000 with rebate available that is close to 60,000. X and Y of Tesla is close to CUV, crossover vehicles, whereas SUV in Rivian is actually lot more SUV, an adventure camping friendly with potential kitchen that you can get in a Rivian. Okay, so Rivian has an in-bed air compressor, full camping kitchen, and a rooftop tent availability. So Rivian has more rugged appeal. So then what are the negatives about Rivian? So Tesla has been building their supercharging network for years. They spent ton of money over a period of time building it, making it successful. And they have another $10,000 autonomous driving feature. So Rivian is level 2, so nowhere close to autonomous. And whereas their plan in their S1 filing, they want to next by 2023, they want to build thousands of charging stations. Okay, because they have to invest fast charging stations. Otherwise, without fast charging, not many people, especially people going into camping with all this gear, they need fast charging. Okay, so that is where you can say Tesla, the advantage is all this, and you are ready to pay that much price versus Rivian. Okay, so if you do not consider the charging network and other autonomous driving features, Rivian is a damn cool looking SUV and truck inside and outside. So let me show a couple of videos and also their S1 filing summary to show you how cool is Rivian. Certainly I cannot apply for Rivian SUV, Rivian IPO either through Robinhood or TD Ameritrade or any other brokerage at this point, but I'll keep an eye on the stock, and if it doesn't go up like 20-30% crazy on IPO day, I'll try to get in. But this is one of the most anticipated EV IPO, hot IPO for 2021. So the initial S1 data from IPO scoop. So Rivian basically filed on November 1st for $8 billion IPO, the biggest deal of 2021. That's what I've been saying, one of the biggest IPOs. At around $60 midpoint pricing would give a Rivian market valuation of $52 billion. Okay, so they're starting with close to $50 to $60 billion. So I won't think the stock price starts at $60, could start at $70 or $80. So then the price valuation could be between $60 to $70 billion. So in their S1 filings that's got into SEC, Rivian electric pickup truck, the R1T retails about $70,000. So remember, this is still available for $7,000 rebate from federal government. Rivian has raised over $10 billion in funding from Amazon, Ford Motor Company, and several other Wall Street firms. So this is what been reported. So as per them, they launched known as R1 platform. On that R1, which is basically the same skateboard platform, they built one which is R1T, the truck, two-row five-passenger pickup truck, and R1S, a three-row seven-passenger SUV. Okay, so this has been lot of these vehicles. Some are sold out. Some of them they're still taking orders for different models, and they will basically showing how many orders they have so far. So if you look at it, so far the company revenue is mainly so far comes from 48,000 pre-orders, $1,000 per each vehicle, bringing the revenue of total 48 million. So this is what it is. EV company, market cap $52 billion, trading at Nasdaq. Symbol is Rivian, 57 to 62. I think it'll be close set to $60 in my view. And these are all joint managers and co-managers for the IPO. So going back here, as I was talking, before getting into any big IPO or stock, you need to look at the founder and the CEO. It all depends on the CEO. The CEO, as I said, Mr. R.J. Scaringe is a car fanatic, and he has been lifelong ambition is to build this car company of his own. Okay, so if you look at here, so but and I have been following this company for almost 7-8 years, and himself almost for 10 years. So by definition, the Times world's richest man is pretty valuable. But early last fall, Jeff Bezos sought out a 36-year-old entrepreneur, Mr. Scaringe, and spent the better part of the day in Plymouth, Michigan, where most of the engineering is there. The company founded Rivian. Mr. Bezos got a preview of Rivian electrical pickup truck and sport SUV and liked what he saw. Not long after his visit, Amazon spent $700 million investment in Rivian. 2 months later, Ford Motor invested $500 million. All told, Rivian has raised $1.7 billion without selling a single truck or SUV. So this is intentional, and the Rivian name from the river in Florida where he was raised. That is how the name came from. So Rivian is promising to do for trucks what Tesla did for luxury cars. This is kind of an old story because Tesla has trucks and a lot of other vehicles have trucks now, and this is the Rivian, office and Rivian factory, and they actually they plan to make close to 20,000 vehicles in 20 to 40,000 vehicles in 2021, and it got delayed and has been postponed, and now customers are picking up those vehicles. So going back here, so this is the Rivian University has 48,400 um, orders for both SUV and the pickup. This is a 200 page, 6 page S1 filing, and if you go get into the details, so if you look at here the finance risk and risk factors for MS1 filings, the company lost $994 million for the first 6 months of 2021, and it lost $1 billion 2020. That's not entirely surprised because the company investing $1.5 billion into the normal plant, and its R1 vehicles generated minimal revenue. So obviously you won't expect you expect them. So they might actually lose $2 billion in 2021, $1 billion in 2020. So as they expand more factories, more locations, obviously they'll be spending more money, which on revenue is nothing at this point. So it's the reason why they had to go to IPO, raise a lot of money to fund the next few factories and other things. Okay, so if you look at here, this is their website. This is R1S SUV, and as I said, close to 70,000 with 316 miles range. If you look at here, this is as shown. It's an adventure camping friendly real SUV, like lot of unlike lot of Tesla Model X or Model Y. So if you look at here, this is a 7-seater, completely good looking SUV in my view. Lot of technology in this. And then, so we will quickly compare. So there are multiple companies making trucks recently. One of them is Ford, and which is electrifying their F-150. So the difference is Rivian is a $70,000 vehicle. Ford One F-150 can come to 45,000 begin with. So depending upon who you are and how much money you can spend. So you look for a real electrical EV SUV for camping and adventure, then you go with Rivian. Whereas a everyday truck availability, you go with Ford F-150. So as it says, Cybertruck, GMC Hummer EV, F-150 Lightning, and that's what Rivian has a competition with. So if you look at here,
option in the segment, it's the Rivian R1T. But it won't be alone for long, as the Ford F-150 Lightning is expected to land in the spring of 2022. These trucks have different missions, but both appear to be offering amazing options in the electric segment. Work hard, play hard, look good doing it, and all while running on electrons. So which one to buy? Well, first, let's talk looks. Both are, well, they're trucks. It's a simple formula, yet each manages to stand out on its own. The Rivian is a fresh look in the truck space. Those headlights are unique, the color palette available is pretty great, and you can opt for 20-inch wheels with all-terrain tires, which toughen up the truck a little bit. With the Lightning, you're looking at that familiar modern F-150 shape. But now you get touches to set it apart from the gas-drinking models. There's a large light bar connecting the daytime running lights, a unique grille, and even special lighting zones on the outside that can illuminate certain areas if you're working in the dark or out camping. On the inside, the F-150 will offer a range of interiors, but in all you'll find a large screen laid out in a portrait setup, similar to what you'd see in the current Mustang Mach-E. The base Lightning Pro is the work-level truck that comes with vinyl seats and a crew cab setup. Still, it gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. We can't wait to see the top-spec Platinum or even limited models. Rivian, on the other hand, has created a special space inside the truck, and with respect to its storage options. The cabin is smart and nicely laid out, while the many cargo spots are equally smart, especially that gear tunnel sitting behind the backseat passenger space. You have power outlets and an available power folding tonneau cover. Both trucks have front storage in the frunk space, but the Ford offers massive space in the nose, and Rivian has opted not to go with CarPlay and Android Auto on the inside, believing its own infotainment system to be what its customers will want. We'll see how that plays out for them. Now for power, Rivian keeps it mostly simple, with essentially a choice of battery pack only. You have 4 electric motors, one at each wheel, and the total power output is a massive 800 horsepower. The standard battery pack is called the Large Pack, and it's a 135 kilowatt hour unit. This provides around 314 miles of range. For 10,000 more, you could jump to the 180 kilowatt Max Pack, which pushes range to over 400 miles. And this truck can tow up to 11,000 pounds, but expect range to take a fair hit if you're doing that. And when you need to top it back up, if you find a DC fast charger, you can add up to 140 miles in just 20 minutes. Over on the Lightning, you have a choice of battery packs as well. All Lightnings come standard with 4-wheel drive and a dual motor setup. The less expensive Pro gets a standard range battery that sees its motors output 426 horsepower and returns 230 miles of range. You can push that to a 300-mile extended range battery as an option. For trucks with the larger battery, power rises to 563 horsepower, and both versions see 775 pound-feet of torque. So you have good power, but not as much as the mighty Rivian, which means the towing capacity is lower too. The Lightning should deliver 10,000 pounds for extended range pack trucks. Otherwise, it's 7,700 pounds. So both trucks should be fun to drive. but the price spread on the F-150 offers more points of entry into this space. The base Pro will start around $40,000, and top spec trucks should hit $90,000 if fully loaded. Those prices are before any state or federal incentives to help drive the cost down a little bit. With the R1T, it's more of a luxury or premium electric truck. The base Explorer trim starts at $67,500, while the Adventure starts at $73,000. Start adding in options, and it's easy to get it to $90,000. But it is super capable and well equipped on all trims. You can add in-bed air compressor, a full camping kitchen complete with a built-in sink, cutlery, and more, and even a rooftop tent made for the R1T. So you have two great trucks in this new frontier of electric pickups. Rivian is first to market and has a heck of a product. Ford won't be far behind, and the Lightning will offer a greater range of appeal with more price points. If you're using it for work on a daily basis, the Lightning seems like a smart way to go. If you're about to dive headfirst into an EV adventure lifestyle, then the Rivian R1T is the one for you.
That is the summary. Depending on the price point or usage, you pick either Rivian or Ford F-150 Lightning. So this is recent from CNBC, what people think. So in my view, Rivian is highly valued, but at $50 billion, I don't think it is very, very expensive. CNBC might tell you it is way expensive, but CNBC has been telling same thing from Tesla. So let's look at what analysts from CNBC think about Rivian IPO.
Details on the Rivian IPO. Phil LeBeau has been digging into the company's latest filing. He's got the very latest. Phil.
Melissa, this is a highly anticipated IPO that's coming to market. Could happen as soon as next week. Here's what we found in the amended S1 that was just dropped within the last half hour from Rivian. Again, we've learned that the listing could happen as soon as next week at the NASDAQ. RIVN is the ticker symbol. Pricing between $57 and $62 a share, and offering up to 135 million shares. That means the valuation of anywhere between $76 and $83 billion. And oh, by the way, there's another 20 million shares that could be offered on top of that 135 million. Amazon in the S1, remember, they own 20% of Rivian. They may take up to $200 million of additional shares, according to the S1. Gives you some indication of how highly anticipated the Rivian IPO is. Remember, Amazon has ordered 100,000 delivery.
So Amazon might take another 200 million shares of Rivian, which means that nobody is planning to sell in the IPO.
Vans, some of which are already on the streets making deliveries for Amazon. Those are electric delivery vans built in central Illinois. 100,000 have been ordered by Amazon. This is a day where we've seen a lot of momentum and enthusiasm for electric vehicles stocks, and Tesla certainly leading the charge. Another big day for Tesla. The stock keeps moving higher. It rallied on a number of initiatives the company has announced around the world, including a 0% leasing plan in China, some other initiatives over in Europe. Those alone should not be enough to say, hey, this stock is ready to move higher. But then our friend Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley, he puts out a note saying, as crude oil prices continue to move higher, it makes the idea of buying more economical, buying an EV. He says, we anticipate the acquisition cost of the average EV should fall below the average internal combustion engine vehicle by mid to later this decade. Yet one more indication of how much enthusiasm there is for electric vehicle manufacturers as the cost continues to come down. And that's why you saw a number of shares move higher. Take a look at the chart here comparing Tesla shares and what we've seen with crude oil prices. It's interesting that you see them continuing to move higher, especially over the last couple of months. And as we mentioned, all of the EV stocks got a nice bid underneath them today, moving higher. And they've been doing this over the last several days, whether it's Fisker, EVgo, that's Canoo. You've got QuantumScape in there, ChargePoint, all of them having a nice day today. Guys, back to you.
And throw in the ones over in China as well. Those are strong too, Phil. It's a global phenomenon that we're watching. Thank you, Phil LeBeau, combing through that S1. The headline that really stood out to me, Karen, when looking at this and having Phil report on it, is that cornerstone investors are willing to buy more stock at the IPO price. And usually we hear about or worry about investors wanting to get out.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think that the range is going to go higher before this gets done. So it's just a staggering number, though. I mean, I get the whole, virtuous cycle of, once these become more economical than internal combustion engines, that's something big. But the more manufacturing is, the more efficient it is, the more charging stations there are, the less one worries about how far the range is. I mean, you can see a lot of virtuous things happening, but how much of a virtuous cycle is already priced in here? It seems like kind of a lot. So, I mean, and good for Amazon for buying the trucks and having the position. That's an enormous score for them, but it's going to be too rich for me for sure.
Is too much priced in, Dan? I mean, let's focus on Rivian, for instance. I mean, there's a lot we still don't know about this company, but of what we do know, it does seem that they have actual orders, and that if you think about their total addressable market as every single vehicle on the road that makes deliveries, that's a lot of cars right there, without even factoring in other, cars like the pickup truck, et cetera, geared towards consumers.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Amazon holding 20% of that company and then being their largest order to date, that video that you're looking at right there is pretty interesting, though, Mel. You just mentioned trucks and SUVs. I think that 80% of the cars sold in America last year were trucks and SUVs. That's where they're going. And then they have these enterprise customers. So I actually think it's a really interesting story. We were talking about Lucid last week. Really interesting high-end sedan there, but they're going to be competing with the Germans. They're going to be competing, with the Model S Plaid by Tesla, that sort of thing. I just find this niche, if you will, to start out much more interesting. I think it's a nice price point. I think that that truck, that four-wheel drive truck, starts at like $77,000 or something. Now that is nearly double the cost of the average car that's sold in America, but they almost have to start out at that higher price point. That's exactly how Tesla did it. I think if they can get in there in SUVs and trucks before anyone else does, I think that could be very interesting. And then also, obviously, Ford has a 5% stake in Rivian. They're going to build that Lightning. I just think it is an interesting story. You tell me, at $1.2 trillion for Tesla and low single-digit global market share, what should any of these be worth? It's a really tough one to figure out.
Well, is Ford worth what it's trading at, Brian Kelly? Is Ford maybe the ultimate play? I mean, it's positioned in Rivian. It's positioned in its own portfolio for that transition.
Right. And so I think if you think about valuation, you think about who has the infrastructure to do it, I think Ford is going to be a very big part of that. And, Adam Jonas in his note mentioned that all of these things are going to happen in mid to late decade. I mean, think about the average hedge fund or portfolio manager. They don't know what they're going to have for dinner, let alone what's going to happen the next decade. So my guess is a lot of this is being priced in right now. That doesn't mean these things can't get out of control. Everybody wants to find the next Tesla. Rivian seems to be the next Tesla for today. But if I were a shareholder of this company, I would be selling with both hands on the IPO.
Interesting. Tim, your quick thoughts.
I mean, Ford trades less than 10 times earnings. I mean, it's really obvious where that money should be allocated. And obviously, stock was up 5% today, which is probably at,
Okay, so CNBC, they want to sell. They don't recommend Rivian. They want to go Ford. I'm a big holder of Ford. I own Ford, but at the same time, I like Rivian because the momentum is the play. That's how this EV going to go up. So I love Rivian. I like the CEO, and I'm up for the IPO. Let me know what your thoughts. Please click the like button and see you on my next video. Thank you.